Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're hearing some different conversation about the police since this particular guy, Salvador Ramos, went into the Robb Elementary School with the AR-15 and literally just slaughtered children and two teachers. We're seeing the police or who they really are. See, the police is real, tough and bad when they dogpiling on a unarmed black man just walking down the street, or a unarmed black woman. Just recently, I saw a video of a black woman. She actually, had, proved her and vindicated herself from this race soldier just jumping on her in her lawn, exposing her breast and everything. See, this is the things that they do to black people that's unarmed. But every time, have you noticed when it's time to go really do some good police work, they're just shook. They're standing there. Let's go back to Buffalo. Peyton Gendron, they did not go in there and get him. He actually came out on his own. You understand? If you look at what happened in Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, it wasn't the Uvalde police. It was Customs and Border Protection agents went in there and got him. So it was federal agents that did that. It was not the local police. What the local police was doing, they didn't want to go in there at all. Ladies and gentlemen, they did not want to go in there. It's been reports, and I'll play this here in a second. Well, you hear what the police was actually doing, and I'm going to go ahead. Let's go ahead and roll that short clip.
Border Patrol agent was struck with gunfire. A few officers shot. We've heard that some law enforcement officers actually went into school to get their kids out. Can you talk about that?
Right. So we do know, Vanessa, right now that there was some police officers, families trying to get their children out of the school because it was an active shooter situation right now. It's a terrible situation right now. And of course, just as we mentioned, the loss of life, it's just terrible. It's a terrible tragedy when that took place. But again, we got to keep acknowledging those brave men and women that actually were there on scene.
So the police is worrying about their own and not worrying about, doing their actual job. And everybody now is seeing the cowardice that they have. And you going to give all this money to these police departments. But let me tell the public something, just so you can know before I really get into what I want to point out. So there was a Supreme Court ruling that justices had ruled. This is from June 28, 2005, out of the New York Times, that police do not have a constitutional duty to protect someone. Did you know that? Okay, so that's continues. It was just so you could know that the police don't have to do nothing for you. And this was just proven with the elementary school. So they said that the Supreme Court had ruled on that Monday that the police did not have a constitutional duty to protect a person from harm. Even a woman who had obtained a court-issued protective order against a violent husband, making an arrest mandatory for a violation. Now, a decision with an opinion by Justice Antonin Scalia and dissents from Justice John Paul Stevens and Ruth Bader Ginsburg overturned a ruling by a federal appeals court in Colorado. Now, the appeals court had permitted a lawsuit to proceed against a Colorado town, Castle Rock, as for the failure of the police to respond to a woman's pleas for help after her estranged husband violated a protective order by kidnapping their three young daughters, whom he eventually killed. Now, for hours on the night of June 22nd, 1999, Jessica Gonzalez tried to get the Castle Rock police to find and arrest her estranged husband, Simon Gonzalez, who was under a court order to stay 100 yards away from the house. He had taken the children ages 7, 9, and 10 as they played outside, and he later called his wife to tell her that he had the girls at an amusement park in Denver. They say Miss Gonzalez conveyed the information to police, but they failed to act before Mr. Gonzalez arrived at the police station hours later, firing a gun with the bodies of the girls in the back of his truck. The police killed him at the scene. Now, the theory of the lawsuit Mr. Gonzalez filed in federal district court in Denver was that Colorado law had given her an enforceable right to protection by instructing the police on the court order that you shall arrest or issue a warrant for the arrest of a violator. She argued that the order gave her a property interest within the meaning of the 14th Amendment's due process guarantee, which prohibits the deprivation of property without due process. And the district court and a panel at the U.S. Court of Appeals of the 10th Circuit dismissed the lawsuit, but the full appeals court reinstated it and the town appealed. Now, Supreme Court's precedent made the appellate ruling a challenging one for Ms. Gonzalez and her lawyers to sustain. Now, there's a 1989 decision, DeShaney versus Winnebago County, held that failure by county social service workers to protect a young boy from a beating by his father did not breach any substantive constitutional duty. By framing her case as one of the process rather than substance, Ms. Gonzalez and her lawyers hoped to find a way around that precedent, but the majority on Monday saw a little difference between the earlier case and this one. Castle Rock versus Gonzalez. They said Ms. Gonzalez did not have a property interest in enforcing a restraining order, Justice Scalia said, adding that such a right, they say, would not, of course, resemble any traditional conception of property. Although the protective order did mandate an arrest or an arrest warrant, in so many words, Justice Scalia said a well-established tradition of police discretion has long coexisted with apparently mandatory arrest statutes. But Justice Stevens and Ginsburg, in their dissenting opinion, say it's clear that the elimination of police discretion was integral to Colorado and its fellow states' solution to the problem of enforcement in domestic violence cases. Now, they said Colorado is one of 24 states that, in response to increased attention to the problem of domestic violence during the 1990s, made arrest mandatory for violating protective orders. Now, they said the court fails to come to terms to waive domestic violence statutes that provides a crucial context for understanding Colorado's laws, according to the dissenting justice. Now, they said the organizations concerned with domestic violence had, watched the case closely and expressed disappointment at the outcome. They said in another ruling on Monday, the court rebuked the United States Court of Appeals of 6th District in Cincinnati for having reopened the death penalty appeal on the basis of a newly discovered evidence after the ruling had become final. Now, they just passed a law where you can't even get out of jail now if there's new evidence in a trial. Say like you didn't do it and the evidence came out you didn't do it. Oh, now the Supreme Court ruled that you can't use the federal courts to get out of jail. Yeah, that's something else. So they said the 5-4 decision, Bell versus Thompson, came in response to an appeal by the state of Tennessee after the 6th District could remove the convicted murderer Gregory Thompson from the state's death row. Now, they talk about these cases, how the Supreme Court has been doing, but the main thing that we want to, I read all that to point out that the police does not have to protect you. Let's go back to Uvalde. Now, since you have a Supreme Court ruling back in 2005 that they don't have to protect you, now you understand why they don't rush in there and do anything. Now, let's get to black people for a minute. See, American public, when you allow the race soldiers to have this unchecked oppression on black people, you really thought it wouldn't circle back to you. See, that pendulum swings both ways. See, it's okay to be watching Breonna Taylor get killed, and it's okay to be seeing Philando Castile and George Floyd and Michael Brown and Walter Scott and Tamir Rice, and we can name name after name after name. I remember when the excuse to kill black people was I was afraid for my life. Ladies and gentlemen, do you remember that? When they brought that in, saying that when they kill unarmed black people, well, I feared for my life. I was afraid for my life. And white America, oh yes, because I got to talk about you because you run everything. And those of you who support them, you accepted that as okay for your police to do this to unarmed black people. As long as it was unarmed black people they was using that excuse for, that was fine and that was okay. But now that pendulum has swung the other way. And now when you got a evil mass murderer inside of an elementary school and parents are out there saying, hey, go in there. What are you doing? Get in there. And the parents trying to even get past them, and they're tackling the parents. They're putting handcuffs on the parents, even tasing parents, right? They came out today and said the police didn't go in because they was afraid they would get shot. I'm going to repeat that again. The police did not go in there because they were afraid that they would get shot. Now, you would say, that's your job. That's what you signed up for. But oh no, you let them get away with I was in fear of my life and I could do anything or not do something. So now in fear of my life has turned around And now you see what black folk have been telling you for a very, very long time. It don't feel good, do it? How many times have we told you, listen to black people? Black people is the only group of people that got the pulse of what's going on in America. The only group that's been like John the Baptist, warning of everything that's going on, that's wrong, and where it's going. And you don't acknowledge anything until it happens to you. See, as long as it's black people, that's okay. But now it happens to others, and now, oh man, we got to do something about that. These police are cowards. We've been saying that. If you would have listened to black people and reined in those cops a long time ago when they was using that, I fear for my life. If you're afraid of your life, quit. Just quit, because you don't need cowards on that job. If I had to do the hiring, I only want ex-military. That's all I want. Oh, you been in Afghanistan, you been in Iraq, or you was using active combat? Okay, that's the person I want. They got police running around here that's 300 pounds. What you supposed to be protecting? You can't run a mile, but you sitting up here talking about you the police. Some of them, you seen them have a hard time getting out their car. Oh, it's a black person pulled over. Ooh, that's like 30 cop cars show up for one black person who's unarmed. But when it's time for y'all to go in there and actually deal with somebody, man, I ain't going in there. Shoot, man, I ain't trying to get shot. We've been told y'all. We've been told y'all a long time ago. And oh boy, the right wingers, boy, they up a creek right now. They trying to, you know how they are. They don't want to take responsibility because they all that cop worshiping and saying they so brave and all that. Hey, where's all that cop worship now? Where's it now? Greg Abbott bringing up Chicago. Chicago don't have no school shootings. You can say whatever you want to say about Chicago, but they don't have nobody doing no school shootings. They don't. Every time they get put in a vice, they want to deflect. Oh, it's this person. Oh, it's that person. Oh, I mean, well, it's mental health. But yet in Texas, Greg Abbott cut $210 million from mental health. But you want to get up there and say mental health. I told you, these people is seeing every day they decision making and what they've been doing and what has been allowed to happen to black people. And now other groups of people, other groups, now you see what black people is talking about, because some of you have joined with them and say, I don't know why y'all is complaining. Just comply to the police and nothing would happen to you. This and that and the third, always telling us, we wrong in what we saying. We've been calling them police cowards. We've been saying that they are not who they say they are. You're not brave jumping on 30 cops jumping, 10 cops jumping on one man that's unarmed. How are you brave? You run around just being a freaking bully. Notice they don't even pull up on the gang members like that. Show me the gang members that got beat up like that and jumped on. They never do that. But they all picking some brother or sister who just walking down the doggone street. But I hate this happen. And of course, it should not be happening. Is as many solutions to that. Like I said, it should be at least a minimum 21 years old to get a firearm, period. You can't go to the bar and drink till you're 21. In Texas, you got on your driver's license says under 21. They want everybody to know that you're under 21. Okay? So you and the people at the bar, they know you underage. Ain't no reason, once again, for people to be walking around on AR-15. I think that gun needs to be put in the class 3 status. And that would just eliminate the AR-15. Just to be honest with you, you don't need all that. You don't need it. And I got some black folks feel that you shouldn't be doing this and that and the third. You didn't took the voice of the devil, I guess. Listen, I say you can protect yourself. Handgun, shotgun do a whole lot. Trust me, it do. I mean, they got some shotguns out there. It won't wait a minute. Now, I'm not about to discuss all that on here just for wisdom purposes. But you can do a lot with that. Okay? But I'm not saying you can't protect yourself. I think you can do a lot with those two things. Texas had a concealed carry where you needed a background check. where you had to take a class and you had to prove that you can actually use the firearm. And Greg Abbott and the Republicans in Texas went to this open constitutional carry, no background checks, no training, no nothing. And he don't want to accept that him and the Republicans did this. They did it. Everybody was cool with concealed carry in Texas. Everybody was cool with that. But they did that. And so if anybody has blood on their hands, it is the Republicans. It's the Republicans. They got blood on their hands. And also them police. Same thing in Buffalo. The police didn't go in there and get Peyton Gendron. They didn't go in there and get him. They made him come out. Now, if they'd have went and been some real police and went in there and got him, less people probably would have got killed. The only brave police officer that was there in Buffalo was Aaron Salter. The only one, the former Buffalo police officer. The only brave one that engaged the devil. He lost his life, but that was a brave man. That was a hero. Them other race soldiers didn't even step in there. Maybe if you had more black police officers out there, former military, they probably would have went in there and did that, because I know my people. The Parkland, you look at that video, what happened at Parkland, the police hiding outside. Didn't even go in there. But these right wingers are talking about, we got law enforcement. We got to, we got to praise law enforcement, praise them. And, they so brave. And we got to give them so much money. And then when it's time to show how brave you are and let the community see your worth, you outside attacking parents. And their kids are in there getting slaughtered. But now I want to know what the rest of you in America thinks about your police don't have a constitutional duty to protect you, for one, and how y'all sat there for years saying it was okay for these cops to use that I was in fear of my life, so I shot this unarmed black person 20 times, but they used I was in fear of my life at this school shooting too. And now you're upset. Maybe when black people are telling you something is wrong in this country with the police or any entity, maybe you would listen to black people. If you listen to black people, all this stuff could be prevented. A lot of things in this country could be prevented. You know, when they always say that black people saved America, it's actually true. If you would actually listen to black people and do what we tell you do, when we tell you do it, America would be 1,000 times better if you listen to black people. But you don't want to listen to God's children because you're rebellious and you hate God's children. And because you're rebellious and you hate God's children, well, what could I say? But, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think about this. Because, a lot of these things, these police who've been warning for years, and now they got white supremacists on the police force. We've been preaching about that. They don't want to say nothing about it. Oh, now you want to start having hearings in Los Angeles now because of that white supremacist Sheriff Villanueva and all the white supremacists in the LA County Sheriff's Department. Oh, now y'all want to have it. Black folks been warning about that since the freaking 80s. They've been talking about that. Listen to black people. Maybe things will go right for you. Listen to black people. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on the podcast. We greatly appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe. That way you know exactly when we post another podcast. Make sure to click the like button. That'd be great, if it help the video in the algorithm. And if you enjoy the podcast, leave a love offering. We greatly appreciate that. And once again, thank you for listening, and see you next time.